I went digging through Walmart's aisles and found the items priced so low, you'll think it's a pricing error. You're paying double just for a name printed on the box, while the shelf right next to it has the exact same thing for way less. And that's just the start. Subscribe and like if this helps. Great value paper towels. You know that moment when you spill coffee and 2 sheets of the name brand roll already tear apart halfway through, leaving little bits of paper stuck to the counter that are harder to clean up than the spill itself? That doesn't happen with Great Value. This roll is woven thick, 2-ply, soaks up liquid fast without leaving lint behind, and holds strong enough to wipe grease off a stovetop without needing a second sheet like some cheaper towels require. Each roll gives you about 130 sheets, enough to get through a busy week without a midweek store run. The price runs almost 40% lower than the familiar name brands on the shelf, while the sheet count per roll is nearly identical, sometimes even a little higher. A name brand roll usually sells around $1.58, while Great Value runs about 94 cents for the same amount. That gap times 8 rolls a month already adds up to over $5 on this one item alone. A family of 4 typically goes through about 8 rolls a month once you count wiping down the table, the stove, and dinner cleanup. Multiply $1 per roll difference over a year, and you're easily past $100, enough to cover a summer electric bill. Plenty of people have left reviews saying they switched for good after wiping up fried chicken grease with a single sheet, something the cheaper roll they used before couldn't manage without going through 3 sheets. You can stock up a whole case in the garage without feeling guilty like you would with the pricier brand, because the quality holds steady batch after batch, still as thick as the first roll you bought months back. If there's one household item worth switching today without a second thought, this is it. Mainstays chef's knife. A good kitchen knife should slice clean through a tomato skin without mashing the flesh underneath, and that's exactly what you get here. At upscale cookware stores, a knife with similar steel can cost 3 or 4 times as much, enough to buy a whole set of pieces if you go with Mainstays instead. An 8-inch chef's knife from a well-known culinary brand often runs over $80, while a Mainstays knife of the same blade size sits at about a quarter of that, leaving enough left over to grab a cutting board and sharpening stone too. You're paying for the name stamped on the box, not necessarily the sharpness your hand actually feels slicing an onion or breaking down a chicken. The Mainstays blade is forged to hold its edge, sits comfortably in your grip thanks to a well-balanced handle, and doesn't slip when your hands are wet from prepping vegetables or rinsing fish. For anyone cooking daily, this is a tool you actually use, not a showpiece sitting untouched in a drawer. You don't need to sharpen it constantly like some cheaper knives that dull within weeks. Usually a light touch-up every 2 to 3 months is enough if you're using a wood cutting board instead of hard plastic. Compared to spending $100 or more on a well-known brand's knife set just to use it a few times and stash it away out of fear of dulling the blade, this knife pays for itself many times over because it gets used for real, sharpened for real, and holds up year after year. If you think this list is all small kitchen items, wait for the next one. It changes how you look at the lighting section of the store. Great Value LED light bulbs. You replace a bulb with the name brand for almost double the price, then realize the brightness looks no different from the Great Value bulb hanging in the next room. Same warm white light, same steady performance switching on and off repeatedly. Walmart's LED bulbs give off even light, don't flicker when paired with a dimmer switch, and fit most standard sockets throughout the house, from the living room to the bathroom. A 9-watt Great Value bulb puts out light equal to an old 60-watt incandescent, about 800 lumens, plenty bright for reading at night without an extra desk lamp, while its power draw is only about 1/7 of the old bulb, something that shows up clearly on your electric bill if your house has around 20 fixtures running each evening. A 9-watt LED bulb from a familiar lighting brand sells for $3.98 a piece. Great Value runs about $1.98, and the price drops even further in a 4-pack. The bulb lasts for years at the recommended wattage, meaning you're not climbing on a chair to change bulbs every few months, especially in hard-to-reach spots like stairwells with high ceilings. For a house with dozens of fixtures, from the living room to the backyard, switching everything over saves a solid amount in year 1 alone, and that savings compounds each year after thanks to the bulb's long lifespan. Plenty of shoppers have shared on home forums that after switching all 12 bulbs in the house, their winter electric bill dropped noticeably compared to the year before, with old compact bulbs. It's not a flashy item to brag about to the neighbors, but it's a quiet investment that keeps money in your pocket long term. Walmart Rechargeable AA and AAA batteries. You've bought whole boxes of disposable batteries for the TV remote, the wall clock, the backup flashlight, then tossed them after a few weeks once they weakened and slowed the remote's response. Rechargeable batteries change that spending completely. For under $2 a pack, you can recharge them hundreds of times before they actually wear out, usually around 500 charge cycles. Roughly 9 years if you charge about once a week, meaning one pack can replace dozens of boxes of disposables you'd otherwise buy over the years. Each AA typically holds around 2,400 milliamp hours, enough to run your AC remote for months straight before needing a recharge, while the smaller AAA holds about 800 milliamp hours, plenty to keep a wall clock running for a whole year. Put simply, if a family buys an average of 4 packs of disposables a month for small household devices, the yearly cost easily tops $40, while 4 rechargeable batteries cost under $8 up front and practically nothing after. Compared to constantly restocking disposables for toys, the AC remote, the kitchen scale, the savings after a year are enough to buy a few more household items without a second thought. For families with a lot of battery-powered devices, switching means no more digging through drawers at midnight for a spare battery when the flashlight dies mid-power outage. The included charger is simple too. Plug it in overnight for 4 to 6 hours, and it's ready for the whole next day. No complicated steps involved. Some longtime users even keep these in a handheld camera for weekend camping trips and say the charge holds for months of non-use, well beyond what they expected. Ozark Trail Cast Iron Skillet. A good cast iron skillet can stay with you for 20 years if cared for properly, and this one proves that without the sky-high price of fancy boxed cast iron on the upscale cookware shelf. The thick cast iron surface holds heat evenly, perfect for searing a steak or frying eggs without burning one side or cooling down the moment food hits the pan. Compared to premium cast iron brands often featured on cooking shows, where a 10-inch skillet can run close to $100, this one costs less than half that, with heat retention and durability coming out nearly the same when tested side by side, searing the same cut of beef. You don't have to worry about a non-stick coating flaking off after a few months like some cheap non-stick pans, because solid cast iron has no coating to flake off in the first place. The more you use it, the more oil you cook with, the more natural shine and non-stick quality it builds up, something no industrial non-stick pan can replicate. Plenty of reviewers say this skillet works fine on a campfire or in a high-heat oven without any damage, something regular non-stick pans can't handle past 400 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the kind of tool you buy once and never think about replacing, as long as you're willing to hand wash and dry it right after use instead of tossing it in the dishwasher. 3 more items about entertainment and health are coming up, and you'll wish you'd known about them sooner. On wireless Bluetooth earbuds. You used to think good wireless earbuds had to cost a few $100s to be reliable, until you tried these out of curiosity. For under $25, these hold a stable connection within about 30 feet. Plenty of range to move around the house doing chores, without worrying about signal drops, and clear enough sound for a morning walk or podcast while cleaning without cutting out like some cheaper earbuds tend to. The battery lasts a full day before needing a recharge, usually around 5 to 6 hours of continuous listening, plus a few extra charges from the case, and the case itself charges fully in about an hour and 30 minutes, faster than a lot of mid-range earbuds needing close to 2 hours. The charging case is compact enough to fit in a jacket pocket or handbag. Compared to well-known earbud brands costing 10 times as much, some running up to $250, the difference mostly comes down to the name and a few advanced features like active noise cancellation that most everyday users don't really need. For older adults who just want clear phone calls or shows without dealing with wires, these are worth trying before spending big on a familiar brand. One shopper said she bought these for nightly audiobooks, and after 6 months of near daily use, the battery still holds its original charge, which surprised her more than the price did. You could buy 2 backup pairs for the price of 1 premium set. 1 for daily use, 1 spare, which sounds a lot more sensible than betting a large sum on a single product. Athletic crew socks. The socks you slip on every morning rarely get a second thought, but this is where the price gap is easiest to see on the whole list. Walmart's athletic crew socks cost about a third of what big sportswear brands charge in specialty stores, where a single pair can run close to $12, while a 6-pack here costs the same or less than 1 pair from that other brand. The cotton blend soaks up sweat well, and the elastic cuff fits snug without sliding down your heel during a long walk or hours standing in the kitchen. For anyone walking daily or playing weekend sports, buying a few affordable packs to rotate through makes a lot more sense than holding on to a few expensive pairs until they wear thin at the heel and you still can't bring yourself to toss them. Durability isn't a concern either. The stitching holds up, and after about 50 washes, they still keep their shape with no sagging at the cuff like some cheap socks that get annoying after just a few washes. One customer wrote that she bought a 12-pack for her family of 4, and after 3 months of weekly washing, only one pair started thinning at the heel while the rest still looked new. It's a small item, but tally it across a whole family over a year, a few pairs per person each season, and the price difference adds up, potentially topping $100 compared to buying all your socks from an expensive sportswear brand. Equate high-protein meal replacement shake. Rushing out the door before work, you don't have time to cook a full meal, and that's where this shake comes in instead of leaving you hungry until lunch. Each bottle packs about 30 grams of protein and only around 200 calories, enough to keep you full until midday without loading up on extra energy you don't need. The nutrition profile is nearly identical to the big brands advertised on TV with professional athletes. An Equate bottle usually sells for about $1.28, while the same size bottle from the TV advertised brand can run up to $2.50, and that gap multiplied over 30 days a month is enough to buy nearly another 6-pack. For older adults who need daily protein but aren't big fans of eating a lot of red meat, or anyone with a packed schedule needing a quick meal, this is a solid choice for keeping up the habit long-term without overspending, especially if you're drinking one daily rather than occasionally. Flavor variety from chocolate to vanilla keeps things from getting boring, and some people even blend in a banana or ice for a weekend twist. Some assume the cheaper option means lower quality, but the label shows almost no real difference side by side. Same calcium levels, same B vitamins that matter for middle-aged adults. If you think this list is running out of surprises, wait for the home repair item coming up. It changes how you look at your tool drawer. Hyper Tough 44-piece tool set. A screwdriver snapping at the tip right when you need to fix a loose kitchen cabinet hinge in a hurry. Anyone who's been through that knows the frustration of borrowing a neighbor's tools late in the evening. This set solves that for under $20, packing screwdriver bits, small wrenches, pliers, and basic hardware into a sturdy plastic case about 14 inches long with clearly divided compartments so you can find what you need fast, and it fits neatly on a garage shelf without taking up much space. This isn't a set for a full-time mechanic, but for small repairs around the house, tightening a hinge, replacing a clock battery, hanging a shelf, assembling new furniture, it covers all of that and then some. Compared to buying tools one at a time at a specialty hardware store, where a single wrench alone can run close to $10 and a separate screwdriver set can hit $30, this full 44-piece set costs far less while giving you a much wider range of tools. For a household without a professional handyman around, this is worth keeping in the kitchen drawer or garage for whenever something unexpected comes up, from assembling a grandchild's Christmas toy to fixing a torn screen door hinge. One buyer shared he used this set to fully assemble a flat-pack bookshelf, and not a single tool was missing through the whole process, which surprised him given the low price. Mainstays cast aluminum roasting pan. You've probably seen a similar roasting pan on the shelf for $50 or more, packaged nicely under a familiar brand name you've seen in holiday commercials. This one does the same job for a fraction of that price, and the results still come out evenly golden without burning at the edges even after over an hour in the oven. The cast aluminum heats up fast and evenly, runs about 14 inches long, fitting standard-size ovens in most American kitchens. Great for baking, roasting meat, or cooking a whole chicken on weekends when the family gathers, and large enough to fit a 12-pound turkey for Thanksgiving without switching to a different tray. The non-stick coating makes cleanup much easier compared to bare metal pans that need long soaking and hard scrubbing to get baked-on grease off. For weekend family get-togethers when you need to roast several things at once, from vegetables to meat, a big sturdy pan like this saves a lot of time standing over the stove, and some people even use it to bake a whole tray of cookies for the grandkids. There's no need to spend extra on pricier brands for evenly roasted results, since the materials and build aren't all that different side by side in the same oven at the same temperature. SuperTech Motor Oil. You bring your car in for an oil change and get hit with a service fee plus the price of name brand oil, adding up to nearly $100 for one visit, not counting the time spent waiting around the shop lobby. Changing your own oil at home with this instead costs about $17 to $20 for a 5-quart jug, enough for a full oil change on most mid-size sedans, while a larger SUV might need an extra half-quart topped off afterward, plus about $10 for an oil filter, and the whole job is done. A 5-quart jug of full synthetic oil from a familiar name brand usually costs over $35, almost double the price for the same certified API grade and the same recommended change interval. This oil meets all the performance standards for most everyday vehicles, keeping the engine running smoothly and protecting internal parts from wear over time, even during long summer drives or towing on weekends. Plenty of experienced mechanics admit the difference between name brand oil, and this comes down mostly to the name and the ad campaign, not the core chemical formula, which is tested against the same industry standards recognized by international oil certification bodies. For anyone doing their own car maintenance to save money, this is a solid choice for keeping up with regular oil changes every 5,000 to 7,000 miles without stressing over the budget each time. Over time, that price gap adds up across multiple oil changes a year, potentially topping $100 annually for a two-car household. Mainstays kitchen utensils. Your kitchen drawer might still have a few wooden spoons from years back, warped and worn from overuse, some even cracked down the middle that you just can't bring yourself to throw out. Mainstays kitchen utensils, from spoons to serving ladles to whisks, usually run anywhere from $1 to $5 each, but the durability doesn't match that low price at all. You can feel how solid they are the moment you pick one up, a world away from the flimsy feel of some cheap plastic utensils that make you hesitant to trust them. The handle grip feels sturdy and doesn't crack after repeated runs through the dishwasher on high heat, and the utensil head works well with all kinds of pots and pans, including non-stick surfaces that scratch easily and require careful tool choices to avoid damaging the coating over time. The whisk alone has about 8 sturdy metal wires that whip eggs fast without bending out of shape after months of regular use. Compared to buying a fancy boxed premium utensil set for several times the price with the same function, an 8-piece set from a well-known kitchen brand running up to $60, buying Mainstays pieces individually as you need them saves a solid amount while still covering everything necessary for the kitchen, from everyday soup making to weekend baking. One home cook shared she's used the same Mainstays whisk for over 3 years of daily cooking, only replacing it after dropping it and breaking the handle, not from wear or a quality issue. This is the kind of product you can buy without overthinking it, since the risk if you're not satisfied is low when each piece only costs a few dollars, unlike dropping $100 on a premium cutlery set only to find out it doesn't feel right in your hand. The simple rule smart shoppers always follow: check the ingredients and materials before you check the logo. Cheap doesn't mean low quality, it just means less money spent on advertising. These 12 items prove that clearly, right on the shelves you walk past every week. Have you switched to great value paper towels yet, or are you still paying almost double for the familiar box next to it?